Hey guys, so I'm going to go over stats and perks. First, with the stats, with health and damage, um, it really depends on how you want to play and your skill level. Um, Ideally, you start putting all your points into damage up to level 15, and then all your points into health up to level 15. If you're the kind of player who wants to last longer in a fight and just doesn't have the skill, health may be more of the calling for you after the level 15. You just start dumping into health. Um, and then for most players, they'd prefer to dump it into damage first. Um, so for me, what I'll do is go 15 damage, 15 health, then I just keep pumping damage. I might even towards level 50 or so, because max level is 60, um, put a few into mobility. Um, but I don't see any reason to put anything into stam. Some people say, "Oh, it helps with grappling to a ship or whatever when you're boarding." I haven't seen it be worth it. Um, there may be some fringe cases, but if you have something to say about that, please leave a comment, and I'll revise the video if I'm wrong. But I don't think this really has much of an effect in the game currently. Um, as far as mobility goes, mobility does acceleration. So if I start sprinting, it takes me a second to get up to max speed, but it also increases max speed. What it doesn't help is when you're in combat stance. So you see how my character is crouched, right? This is combat stance. It's considered combat stance. And so in combat stance, mobility is not helping you. So when you're swinging or blocking, your mobility isn't in effect. It's in effect in between it, so you could use it to accelerate and then get more damage in your swing because you have more momentum. Um, but there's ways around it. Like if you didn't have this crappy grappling hook that I have, this makeshift, it's the first one you get. Um, it's not very powerful. Like for example, a good grapple would have picked me up probably 2 to 3 times faster. So if I grapple the ground here and it pulls me, it's not going to pull me very fast. So when I'm sprinting in a direction, I'll grapple the ground, pull it, and sprint, and I'll get that added acceleration from the grapple, and I'll almost be like full sprint almost immediately by doing that. And so mobility is really at that point just to increase the max speed. Um, Not as important as staying alive and doing damage, in my opinion, unless you are doing a lot of outnumbered fights. Because I could take this staff, for example, because it has longer reach. Now, this is not the staff I would probably use. I'd probably use a longer one. But I could go and sprint away and then turn on somebody, attack them, and then sprint away, disengage, turn on them, attack them, because I'd be so much higher in the mobility stat than everybody else that I could run away. Now, something to keep in mind with movement is the speed reduction on gear. So you see this has a 2% speed reduction. These other pieces have a 0%. So it's just like I'm naked. This one has a 2%. Now, if I'm chasing somebody down, I'm not fast enough. What I'll do is I'll actually take my gear off, right? And now that speed reduction doesn't affect me. So I'm chasing somebody, and then I come up to him, and I finally get there. I'll put my armor back on before the fight because it's on my hotbar, and then I can fight, right? Um, it's a way to kind of get around the speed reduction on your gear. Speed reduction will affect combat stance and out of combat movement, um, whereas mobility only affects out of combat. Okay, now as far as perks are concerned, so perks you can tap O twice on your hotbar to bring it up. Not on your hotbar, on your keyboard, I mean. So there's Warlord, which has to do with actually the melee combat. This has to do with walkers and weapons. As far as I know, this stuff does not work, so I would not use it. Then this is the Gatherer perks. I don't know if these work. For example, this one increased damage dealt to Rupus by 50%. I think this one does work, but it's super PvE based. Um, it's 15 points. It's a lot of points. I probably wouldn't use it, but maybe you want to use this early on while you're leveling, and then use a Wanderer's Potion, which you can buy from one of the traders in the desert for 1,000 flots, and it will actually give you the option to redo your whole perk tree and your stats. So maybe you grab that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't really do any of these. Ones that I would do is the Warlord one, and then on this perk tree, there is Endurer, which increases stamina regeneration. Now, stamina regeneration would be great because if you disengage in a fight and you need to regenerate stam, you'll regenerate faster than the opponent. Or if you're running and eventually you run out of stam, you need to regenerate. So regenerating faster will let you run again sooner. So you'll outrun your opponents that way. The Eternal Survivor regenerates health. This is super good. Last I used it, it worked, but sometimes I had to die when I changed tiles. So if I go to a different server, a different tile of the map, it would stop working. So I had to die, respawn, and then it would work again. I don't know if that's still the case. You can let me know in the comments. Over Carrier, this operated the same way. It worked, and then sometimes it didn't work, and I'd have to die. Increasing your max carry rate weight is really nice, especially when you're in a harvesting situation or a PvP situation and somebody has just a bunch of stuff on them. Um, Being able to grab all of it and just go a quick loop, is faster than trying to sift through and grab the most important stuff because you don't want to be overweight. Um, so I'd recommend doing these three. Ideally, the first one would be Eternal Survivor for me, because this will cut down on how many bandages I use, so I can keep my nice bandages for actual combat. The first thing I would do though is start with this. Everybody can make an axe. I'm talking in the first day, right? Everybody can make an axe or even a sword pretty cheaply right off rip. So I would probably pump into the X's at least 3 slots, probably do the same thing for the swords, and then open up the other ones. Now, each of these are 5 points, so it's pretty expensive. Then it becomes 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. You get the idea. So I have 1 point right now, and it's not grayed out. You see, I can select that. Um, it's expensive, and so the reason I would pick the ones that are more popular is they're more popular. You're gonna have people attack you with those early on, and then as you level, you can open up on these other ones and at least get it to like level 2, where you get a 13% damage reduction. Now, reducing stamina consumption while attacking. This has never been a huge stamina drain, but what can be is blocking. And that's because in a big fight you're fighting maybe 2 or 3 people at the same time they're swinging on you, and you're blocking them. Each time you block, it eats some of your stam, and so by having this you can block near indefinitely, right? So that's helpful, but I would definitely focus on getting the weapon damages in the Eternal Survivor and the Endurer. Okay, that does it for the stats and the perks. Again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or need to give me some updates on the changes the devs have done, just leave it in the comments, and I appreciate you.